Hello and welcome to the CFCTALK podcast. Well, I am back. Sorry, Alex, but you did an amazing job of taking over. But I'm back now, so I'll be taking over now. Not the best times to take over. Draw against Sevilla. We missed a few episodes. Sorry about that, by the way, guys. And it was purely due to some editing issues, uploading issues, some communications, let's call it. And I can assure you, hopefully, that won't be happening anytime in the future. But as you always, we're joined with Alex and Amart to talk about Chelsea versus Sevilla, and then ending it with Chelsea versus Manchester United on the weekend after they come from a convincing victory against Paris Saint-Germain at the Parc des Princes. Welcome, both of you. Let's dive straight into it. Let's not waste any time.
Yeah, interesting result. I mean, it's in Champions League, you hate to see us not scoring, but considering the clean sheet and all, I think there's quite a few things to be happy about, and there's also a couple of things that we have got to be concerned about, I think, for the future. But it's great to be on, great to talk about this again.
100% it is. Amart, how was that performance against Sevilla last night?
It was good. If you are taking it from a defensive point of view, it was very, very good, because how many times do we have a clean sheet nowadays? So against Sevilla, that an attacking minded team, we did very well against them, and we started well, but disappointing not to have won, because I think as of now we are the only English team to have not won our game. So it's a bit disappointing, but yeah, I'll take the draw against Sevilla, because we had a good performance defensively, at least.
Yeah, I would agree, but on the defensive side. But on the attacking side, I would say we didn't create any chance at all. Overall, we struggled creating chances, and even if we did, they weren't good enough. And some of them, I think we should have scored in some situations, but it wasn't just good enough. Alex, how would you rate our attacking last night?
Yeah, it is a tricky one to say. You could say Werner, like he did have quite a few chances that he just did not bury, which was very frustrating. But at the same time, you got to say that Sevilla are very, very good defensively as well. So I think that one interesting stat, or maybe not very good defensively, but just a very good team. And so I think since February, Sevilla have only lost twice in 90-minute matches, and they barely concede any goals. So yeah. Oh, actually, I'm not sure so much about the defensive claim, but yeah, we did have our chances. We didn't take them. Sevilla are a good side. I think a lot of Chelsea fans, myself included, underestimated them. So it's a frustrating one, but I think we can be happy with the clean sheet.
Yeah, 100%. Edouard Mendy made quite a clinical save. I think, was it in the first half, close to the end of the first half, when we made a really good save. But Amart, you said defense was good, attack wasn't. Midfield, how was it?
Our midfield, our midfield was kind of like, it was decent, because like in terms of our defensive prowess in the midfield, it was okay. The defensive aspect of our midfield was okay. They often supported the defense in preventing attacks from Sevilla. But going forward, like was it Alex or you that said that going forward, it's not that I will not blame. The thing is, I will not blame our attackers, because I saw that our attackers were doing their best, but Sevilla had that back line locked. We couldn't do much going through. I think apart from Werner, who had a chance in the game earlier on, I think that was about it. We didn't really get any chances.
So we heard about Alex talking about the attack, Amar, but you said the defense was pretty good. What did you think of our midfield last night?
Yeah, the midfield was okay. It wasn't anything great, but like I said, the midfield in their defensive capabilities, they were able to help the back four quite a bit. Kante and Jorginho. Jorginho didn't start the game well, but in the second half he came into it. The first half he was making a lot of mistakes, a lot of fouls. Same with Kante also. Kante also making fouls and stuff. And finally, Havertz also wasn't having a field day yesterday. So in their defensive prowess, yes, yesterday we were able to score, but going forward, nothing much. Like I said, I saw a stat saying that we had 6 shots on target, 6 shots on goal the whole game, but we only had 4 on target or so or something like that. So we didn't have any opportunities at all. That Sevilla backline didn't allow us have any chances at all. And I think ours also was similar because they also didn't have that many chances also. So the midfield they were decent. Nothing much going forward, but in the defense.
Yeah, I would agree with both of you on this, and I would say, yeah, overall we had a good performance. I think it was Alex who said that we didn't take Sevilla as a serious opponent. We thought it was going to be an easy match, and it bit us back. And looking back at our other performances, I thought we played better yesterday than I would say against Southampton, um, especially in the defensive area. And it's not the best way to prep for Man United, but it is a step forward. But before we leave Sevilla, and I don't think there's a lot to talk about other than if we could have, let's say, each of us talk about one player we thought was the best one and the worst performance. So, Alex, who would your man of the match be?
Oh, it's a tough one, but I'm gonna go with Reece James. I honestly thought he looked really good against Sevilla. He was putting in fantastic crosses going forward, especially some of them. He was the ball was being played out to him, and he would just put in first time crosses on the ground in the air. He was brilliant going forward. I thought it was annoying that we didn't really get any rewards from his chances. And then in the defensive phase as well, he looked really solid. But I'd also it's a tough one because I thought Chilwell was also good and Mendy were also basically the whole back five could have been the best were all the best performance. They all did great, but I'm going to go with Reece James as the man of the match.
And Amart, who would your man of the match be?
Yeah, it's difficult because I was also thinking about Reese but I feel like Chilwell had a better performance overall because I think his side was the most um used side by the Sevilla attackers because they were moving along his side a lot, and I think even Zuma made a mistake where he almost gave the ball away, but Chilwell was there to help him out, and then we were under pressure a bit getting to the end, but Chilwell, like you said, the whole back five, they were very good, including Mendy, and I like Mendy's command over the back line. I don't know whether it's the language thing or I don't know, but you can easily tell that he's able to control the defenders better. Like he's able to instruct them and all that. Well, there was a chance I remember that Zuma had a one-on-one situation, like he was with Sevilla attacker, and he almost passed back Mendy, but I had Mendy shouting. I know little French, but I had Mendy shouting "allez, allez." It means like go or something or clear it out. So like he was at least telling him something. He was telling Zuma to do something instead of passing it back to him. He was telling Zuma to clear the ball out, and Zuma picked it and cleared the ball out. So I think the back five was good, but I'll give it to Chilwell. Chilwell had a little edge over them. But it's interesting that Alex said Reese was putting in crosses. I didn't see that many crosses, to be honest. I remember him putting crosses in the beginning, but we didn't have any chances on the wings at all. So
Yeah,
probably it was in the beginning. I remember there were some crosses in the beginning, but we didn't have any chances on that wing on those two wings at all. So because of that, Pulisic didn't have a field day. Mount didn't have a good day. So it was very difficult.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the point where you said Mandy was shouting "Ale Ale," I think that was just a hint at Klopp saying, "I am available. Alisson's injured. Get me in." Um, yeah. My opinion, it's a tough one. I would give it to Mendy. Um, I think that save it was in the 35th minute, if I'm not wrong. I don't have the exact timestamps, but um, where he was disbalanced and then he still managed to get the ball away. I think that kept us in the game. A few saves here and there, and I think for me, Edouard Mendy um, gets the nod for the man of the match yesterday night. And clean sheet is something Chelsea. I think Chelsea celebrate clean sheets at this rate. They're so rare. So for me, yeah, keeping that clean sheet is important. But for the worst performance last night, um, I'll go first on this one, or do you guys want to go first on this?
go on, Mohammed. Take the lead. You've had 2 weeks off. We want to get as much of you as we can.
No, I think now that I've gone, I'm not used to going first, so
Fine. I'll go if you want me to.
yeah, I think Alex, go ahead with it, and then I'll
I'm gonna
come
stick my
in.
and I think it caused a lot of debate. But if I'm honest, I'll go with. Oh no, it's tricky. Okay,
The two of you are confused.
I'm gonna go with Mount. Okay, I'm gonna go with Mason Mount and Kante together because yeah, just think for Kante from Kante's perspective at least, his passing was. I mean, to be fair, he made some intelligent fouls and some good tackles, but his passing, I think, in the last couple of games, it's just not been good. And I do hope Kante gets a rest or gets dropped or something for Kovacic because Kovacic came on and did look really good. So, or to me, so I would say can joint Kante and Kovacic because no one is really that bad. I thought we were okay, but it's just yeah, Mason Mount as usual being the just being really divisive person on the wing, not through any fault of his own, but he just doesn't look like he's on the same wavelength as the other 3 world-class attackers we have, and it's causing so much conflict in the Chelsea fan base right now because it's not his fault he's being played there, but Lampard's insisting but Lampard's always playing in there, and so to me we have to judge him as a winger because he's being played there now, and it doesn't look like I don't see him getting in the pitch in the double pivot with instead of Kante or Jorginho or Kovacic, and there's no way he's gonna bench Havertz in the 10 position. So we just have to start judging him as this winger because that's the only way he's going to get into the team, to me. And yeah, he just does not fit that at all. Was he does definitely has good contributions to the team, especially defensively on the wing. It was good to see tonight, I think, as well. But yeah, I just Mount should not be playing on the wing, and I get the feeling that he's gonna be playing on the wing for quite some time now, unless we magically change back to a 4-3-3 for some reason, even though we haven't seen that yet this season. So yeah, I'm going with Mason Mount. Actually, yeah, I'm going with Mason Mount first as the best performer. Just didn't see anything so special from him tonight.
I'm gonna stir the pot, and I'm gonna say Pulisic. Um, I know he's coming back off an injury, and it's hard to come back and give your best in your first match. But I think he could have done better on some situations, and in general, I think I expect a lot from him because of what we saw after the Premier League restarted, or it's just that Pulisic is a type of player who every game performs at a very high rate, and if I ever go back to rating Pulisic, I wouldn't come across a match where I would say, oh, this is a match where I would rate him under 5. He's a hard worker, but I think yesterday he lacked that, and I think for me, Pulisic takes the hit for worst player. But going to your point about Mason Mount, this is where I want to contradict Frank Lampard a little bit, and stir the pot once again and cause a bit of a debate. But that's I'll do that a bit later. But Amart, your worst performer for yesterday's game.
Yeah, I'm glad I even went last because you guys made some good analysis that I want to talk about a bit. And then, first of all, I'll say Mount. Mount was my what? It wasn't like a bad performance, but like, yeah, he seemed out of sorts yesterday. So, but I think the reason why you guys picked both wingers is that the I think it was Jesus Navas and then Marcos Acuna or something. Yeah, he was the one marking Pulisic. They didn't allow those two players to see anything in it. Like they didn't allow them to do anything going forward. And I noticed something about what's the name Sevilla when we put they used a similar tactic that the Southampton players used in the second. Like every time Pulisic had the ball, there were two players on him. Anytime Mount had the ball, there were two players on him. Anytime Havertz had the ball, there were two players on him. So it was very difficult for them to move forward. Very, very difficult for them to move forward. Talking about the first part. And then the second part too, with the using Mount as a winger thing. I'm just going to go on a limb here and I'm just going to have an idea of what Lampard wants to do. If you look at the team, we technically have only three wingers because Werner doesn't do well on the wings. We've seen it. When he's used on the left, he can't do well. So technically, we have only three wingers. We have Pulisic, Odoi. We have natural wingers. We have Pulisic and Odoi, but he's trying to and then Ziyech. So that makes it three. So he's trying to add Mount as that backup Ziyech. So I think that is what I'm seeing that Lampard is doing. He wants to use Mount as a backup to Ziyech because no one really is a backup to Ziyech. Odoi on the right isn't as productive. We've seen it before. When he switches to the left, he's excellent. But on the right, he's not as productive. He's almost like Mason Mount. The only thing Mason Mount might have over him is that Mason can give us some defensive abilities as well, but his attacking is bad, and then Odoi's attack is better than Mount. So just going on that logic, that's what I think Lampard wants to do with the wings. He wants to have two wingers on the left, two wingers on the right. So I think that's what I'm seeing. But yeah, yesterday Mount was the one who wasn't really on par with everybody else. Like you are saying, he doesn't have the same chemistry with our attackers. So yesterday it was difficult for him as well as Pulisic to go forward. But I'll give it to Mount because I think he was the one who was he underperformed.
Nice to add to that.
Yeah, sure.
Just,
No, I wasn't.
It was just that, I mean, I would agree if Mount was being played on the right, but the thing that I think a lot of Chelsea fans are getting mad about as well, that Mount, at least at the start of the game, was playing on the left instead of Pulisic, which just made absolutely no sense why you'd force Pulisic out of his favoured left wing. And that, in a way, contributes to Mohammed's rating of Pulisic as low because he was being, I mean, it's kind of ironic for me to say, oh, Pulisic was bad because he was playing out of position, but you could easily put Pulisic on the left, and then he started to play way better as well once he was on the left in the game, but he started out on the right, and it's just not his favourite position. So, yeah. But I do agree with Amart saying it's basically, that Mount is basically the backup to Ziyech.
I think, for me, we talk about backup and we talk about this and that, the positioning and all that. What we don't talk about a lot is why is Lampard taking so long to get Ziyech into the team. He played for Morocco, and yes, I think Amart, myself, and one of the writers from the team, we had a discussion about this on the server, on the Discord server, and he said it's because he played a friendly, this and that. Get him on. We saw him against Southampton, I think, for a while, and then yesterday, well, just get him on, just let him start. Like, give him the opportunity. Yes, he did get injured in the first match, but it's time we see Ziyech back on the pitch. If he can play for Morocco, then he can surely play for Chelsea. I don't understand what Lampard is doing in that situation. Secondly, I feel like
okay.
Go on, Mohammed.
I feel like that at times we need to understand that that Mount needs to sit the game out. Yesterday was one of those days where I thought taking off Mount was the right option, and he should have gone off early. You know, because there's a change in formation. I'm not sure if we played with two defensive midfielders last season, but now we've got Kante and Jorginho, which usually drop back, and then Havertz moving forward. Mount's got to fight his way into the team. He can't just play as a winger, and especially his abilities as a winger aren't as developed as a midfielder. And surely Lampard can play him as in the wings position and say, yeah, slowly but surely he'll be able to do that. But in a game against Sevilla, where yesterday we could have won, I'm not going to go against Lampard and say Lampard out, Lampard this, Lampard that. But in my opinion, if Lampard really needs to get his wins and really needs to show that we can do a lot with this team, he needs to get one team fixed and go with it. He can't just keep changing it around.
Mohammed, I agree with you, but the one team thing, it won't work this season because you've seen how difficult the schedule is. We are playing a game every 3 or 4 days in between, so using one team throughout might not work effectively. And on the ZS thing, I don't think it's Lampard's call for him to start or not. It's usually the team's decision or something. He's the one who is able to give them a go ahead. And with Morocco, he's their captain and he's their best player. Even though it's a friendly, they still need him to play. And I think that's how it is when it comes to Kante was injured with us, but when he goes to France, sometimes he plays 90 minutes. Sometimes he comes on for us from the bench the time he was recovering. But when he goes to France, they use him 90 minutes. So with the countries, you can't really tell them what to do because they also have their own physicians, they also have their own players. And he played only 30 minutes for a country. I watched that game and he didn't play much, but he gave an assist, a free kick assist, and they scored. So for me, I'll rather prefer that we don't risk him because I feel like he would be a very important piece to what Lampard is trying to build this season. So I prefer that we don't rush him on. I think it's better we ease him in so that he doesn't get injured. Yesterday we had a scare with Pulisic. You know, Pulisic was tackled and he was on the ground for a bit. And I was just praying that he doesn't get injured. With these players, you can't tell. We are in a situation whereby a player goes down and then we hear in the news that he's out for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. So I think it's better we ease the players in because we have good players that can play um in those positions. So if he's not ready yet, I don't think we need to force him.
I completely agree with what Amart has just said. It's I don't want to keep it short because there's nothing else to add on it. And we need to. Ziyech only played 30 minutes from Morocco, and like we complained about Chelsea when we have all these players injured, but we also complain when they're not playing in the team. Sorry, when they're being rushed back. Sorry, we complain when they get rushed back too quickly, but we also complain when they're being cautious. So all I'll say is I fully and really, really pray to the Chelsea gods that Hakim Ziyech starts against Manchester United. I think he played half an hour yesterday, and he's got. I think it's right now that he can play like 60 minutes or 50 minutes against United. One of the main problems, though, is that I don't know. It seems like he's not that match sharp right now. He's not the same Hakim Ziyech that we saw in the Champions League, getting 3 assists against Chelsea last year. He's still getting match sharpness, and I think I do agree with. I do want him to start. I want him to like get into the team as fast as possible so he can gain that match sharpness. But it's going to take some time. But yeah, I'm hoping he starts against Manchester United.
So I think that's about it for the Sevilla game, but that leaves us with a important fixture on Saturday night against Man United, rivals, and an interesting matchup. They've been in great run of form, winning against PSG. How are we feeling, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I really want to see some of the guys starting. Like, Hakim Ziyech, for example, he's still getting his match sharpness back, and yeah, but I definitely want to see him start. And yeah, Man United have had some good result. The feeling in their camp is good. They've got some decent results against Newcastle and PSG, and it's Old Trafford. We never win. We haven't won there in like 8 years or something, 7 years when we relied on some Hazard magic. So I'm not looking for. I mean, I'm looking forward to the game because it's Chelsea, but I'm really being cautious just in terms of my expectations. Yeah, but then again, we've got Mendy. We'll have Mendy back. He's kept 3 clean sheets in 3 Chelsea games. We've got Thiago Silva back, who's 2 clean sheets in his 2 Chelsea games. We'll have hopefully the same back line that James, Silva, Zuma, Chilwell, Mendy. Just keep the back line the same, please, Lampard. Just we need some consistency at the back, and yeah, I just want to see the best Chelsea lineup play. I want to see Mason Mount rested, and yeah, that's all. Alex out. No, drops the mic. But
Amart, you want to continue on that?
Yeah, I think last season we didn't have the like how to say it. We didn't have the best of games against Man United. Last season we played 4 times. We lost 3. 3 times against them. Yeah, so some of the wins were some dodgy wins, some bad referee calls and stuff. But we were able to we were able to get a last laugh at least in the FA Cup. I'm just praying that doesn't happen this season. They look good, and their new signings. Telles was fantastic against PSG. Very, very, very good. I haven't seen Cavani yet, but there was a player that they brought. I think I don't want to butcher his name. He was a defender. Hold on, I want to make sure I know I get this right.
I think you talked about while you searched up that fact. I think you said a few dodgy referee decisions.
Yeah.
I think is it Anthony Taylor who's taking charge on Saturday night, if I'm not wrong.
I hope not.
I think that is right. But if I'm honest, with the state we are now, I don't want it. Like, we're not going to be able to beat Manchester United. I mean, it's going to be hard to beat them anyway. And like, yeah, but the last results don't lie. They've all been influenced by referee decisions, so we can only hope that Bruno Fernandes doesn't get a penalty.
Yeah,
But,
exactly. The defender I was talking about was Tuanzebe. I don't know whether he's a youth player or not, but he was I think he's a youth player. Tuanzebe. He's from the Manchester Academy. He was very, very good. Him and Telles against PSG were fantastic. So I just think we have a big game ahead of us. Like Alex said, if our the back four that played against Sevilla, the same back four that plays against Man United, I don't think we'll have an issue. I don't think that back four they've lost a game. I'm not sure, but I don't think they've lost a game with that back four. I don't think they've lost a game. So I'm just hoping, I'm just praying that we use them, and then we have our fantastic four ahead. Werner,
I like that.
Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic, and then Havertz. But the thing about Werner is this: he has played our last 2 games. Him and Havertz, they played our last 2 games I don't know whether Lampard might go with Abraham up top and then bench Werner. I just don't know, but I just hope they play. That I just hope all the four play. And if they play, I'm very confident. And like Alex said earlier, probably I think Kante might be or should be rested because even though his Kante he does what he does in the games, sometimes it's a bit underwhelming from him. So if Ivanovic, I mentioned Ivanovic again, if Kovacic and I made this mistake the last time we recorded, and I've made it again. Um, if Kovacic and Jorginho start in that double pivot position, probably it might be better um in the game. So we'll see. And then the last game we won there was in 2013. So I think it was, and it's crazy. Mata was the one who scored the last goal for us. It was in the 87th minute. I'm checking right now. So and now he's playing for the other
Hopefully an
side.
own goal this time.
Hopefully. He's been having some good performances for them so far, especially in their win in the Premier League. He did pretty well for them. Like Alex said, we just hope that there's no penalty. If there's no penalty, we are good.
Yeah, I think I'll go back to the referee thing. Let me just fact check myself. The referee for the match is Martin Atkinson, and the fourth official is Jonathan Moss. So we're clear of Anthony Taylor for this week against Man United, but I'm sure if we come against them in the FA Cup, we'll have some drama in there as well.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that Anthony Taylor isn't anywhere near this game. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one because I mean, over the past couple of years, yeah, it seems like we're always a weakened animal when we come up against Man United. But I'm hoping this time we can just get some revenge for all the bad lot, especially last year where we got beat 3 times at least by United. Or was it 3 or was it 4 times? We lost.
3 times. We we,
Yeah,
we,
3 times.
we Yeah, they beat us 3 times and we won one. We played them
Yeah,
4 times.
yeah, 3 times, and we got to score. I think in this game we got to score 3 goals at least to get some revenge. But yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be an interesting one. All I can expect is just we play the strongest team, and Lampard gets it right. That's all I can ask. And yeah,
I think it's if we do win this game, then that really does secure a good position for us in going into the November international break, which is I think in 2 weeks' time, if I'm not wrong, or 3 weeks was it? I don't have the exact dates pulled up, but somewhere around there. But these 3 points are quite important for us to stay in the race for top four. If we're in the race for top four from the start, and as early as it is, you never know what this Premier League can tell. Aston Villa, 12 points of 4 games. Everton, top of the table, 13 of 5. So it's pure madness.
yeah. This season is, I don't know. I think this season is an exact reflection of what 2020 was like. Just confused chaos. So I don't know what. And the results that we are getting: Liverpool losing 7 goals, Manchester United by 6, City by 5. Like it's like I don't want to use the cliche term, but it's not normal. It's not normal at all. But we'll see. We'll see. Probably in November things might change. But
Yeah,
to
we
be
might
fair,
we might actually have
Ev-
Chelsea at the top of the table.
but to be fair, Everton is looking very, very good. Very good. Aston Villa not so much, but Everton, the way they play, you can tell that there's been a really big change in how they play. Like Ancelotti is putting a stamp on the team, so they might be difficult. They might be a difficult hill to climb this season.
100%. As we do with every pre-match, we go through the lineup, and because we don't do graphics on the video, before we get into these predictions for the lineup, we have each of our predictions that we do that are posted on our social media. A shameless plug in here. Make sure to follow that, and you'll get our predicted lineup from there. But quickly, just going through the lineup, I'm guessing Mendy in goal for all three.
Yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. No debate required here. Nothing to see here. We all know it's absolutely got to be Mendy.
Yeah,
Maybe get a check.
we've
Yeah.
gone we've gone at least I think we've gone about 35-40 minutes without mentioning um um
Depa.
I don't mention his name, but without mentioning his name, so I think we can go.
Sorry. We can edit
Because
his name out. Sorry, whoever sorry viewers. I didn't say our Spanish goalkeeper's name. I'm sorry. Just forget on him. It's okay. Let's continue.
yeah.
Man, I'm impressed Mohammed hasn't mentioned him yet. I'm really
Yeah.
impressed.
I think if I was it was the Southampton game he played. Yeah, if I was on the Southampton podcast, nope,
Maybe
2 hours of just.
Yeah.
maybe that's why it didn't come out. Conspiracy theorists. Yeah. Probably
Yeah,
Mohammed. Yeah.
I just told Aaron to scrap the episode.
Yeah, that's the conspiracy. That Mohammed was so annoyed at our Southampton result that he deleted our podcast for it.
It's going to be on the front cover of the Sun tomorrow when you wake up.
Well, we have our title for next step for this podcast then. Okay. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I mean, yeah, it's a big game at least. I mean, to be fair, I don't place too much importance on the table yet. But Man United right now, the only thing I care about in the table right now is Manchester United are 15th, and if we can win on Saturday, then there's a good chance that they could be in the relegation zone. I think. Let me just have a look at their points.
Yeah.
Actually, no, never mind.
No, because Burnley, Sheffield, and Fulham, they have 1 point each. So
Yeah, sadly, there are 5 other teams that can barely string some points together. But yeah, it would be nice to keep Man United in the just above the relegation zone. So yeah,
they still have 1 game in hand.
yeah, that's a good point actually. And if they win their game and if they win against Chelsea, then they'll go above us and have a game in hand. So I guess from a table point of view, it is actually quite important that we do win. We don't let them get ground on us. So from that point of view, it's a 6-pointer in a way. If we can win, then we'll be 5 points ahead of them with a game in hand. But if we lose, then they're going to be a point ahead of us with a game in hand. So it's important to not let them get too far ahead.
100%. But going back to the team, just to quickly go over it. So back four, are we going with Silva and Zuma in the center?
Yeah. Amart, do you want to take the lead on this? Because I stuck my neck on the last one.
Because to be honest, I feel like we should use the same back four. Probably, you see, this thing is very difficult. Like Reese or Aspi, it's very difficult to pick one of them. But I would prefer if we use the same back four we used against Sevilla.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree too. I thought we don't need to talk about the right back or left back. I mean, you could argue Aspi could start, but I thought Reese was a really. I mean, Amart was right about the fact that I think I had some bias towards the start of the game where Reese was putting in more crosses where he didn't really put that much or many in towards or as the game grew in. But I thought Reece James was still very good defensively, and I just still have some nightmares from last year, last season, the opening game of the season where Aspi put in pretty much a disaster class at right back, and I don't want to see him. I just don't want him to play against United. Yeah, and we need the Reece James prop when he's up against Wan-Bissaka anyway. So
Oh, those are going to kick off football Twitter. That's going to kick off football Twitter.
Yeah. So yeah, same. But I think we all agree it's the same 5 players. So Reece James, Chilwell, as well included that played against Sevilla.
Midfield, I'll say mine on this one. I think as you guys mentioned, Kante should be rested. I'd go with Jorginho, Havertz, and Mount. In the midfield, I think Kovacic could start as well though. Yeah, I think Jorginho, Havertz, and Mount.
Gee, man, all I say is that Maria from the Twitter will be happy with it. No, I joke. Man, I can't bring myself to start Mount. I absolutely can't. He's just like
I mean,
if
give
you.
him a chance at midfield.
I agree. But the point is that Lampard hasn't used 4-3-3 at all this season, or he's starting from it. So I don't see him changing. I think he'll keep with the 4-2-3-1. It worked against Sevilla defensively at least. So, but I mean, he could go with the Georgian Mount pivot, but to me, I think he's going to go with Jorginho, Kovacic. I agree with you on the drop Kante thing. Jorginho, Kovacic, and then obviously Havertz. What do you think,
Yeah,
Amart?
Amart.
Yeah, it's difficult because I I, I want I want Kante to be rested a bit, but considering how difficult that game is, I feel like he does very very well when we are playing against big teams. So even though I would want him to be rested, I prefer if he starts. And then but instead of Jorginho, I prefer Kovacic in the middle instead of Jorginho. Because I think he had like I think I've said this before, but I feel like Jorginho is his best when we are not under pressure too much. Anytime the pressure starts and the pressure is build piling on us in defense, then we see his issues come up. So I think the reason why Kovacic wasn't started against Sevilla was because he was rested for this game. So I think definitely Kovacic is starting, but who he'll replace, I don't know. But I'll prefer if him and Kante plays, and then with Havertz also just right in front of.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar. I mean, the three of us gave similar opinions on this one. The only, yeah, so we went with either Kante being rested, Kova coming in, and then Amart said maybe Jorginho going out because of his lack of understanding in pressure situations. But yeah, overall, so we've pretty much opened the midfield options to every option that we've got. But yeah,
Interesting one though.
attack.
Just before we, sorry, yeah, just want
Yeah,
to
no,
point
go on, go on.
thing. It's an interesting one because for the game, I do agree that Jorginho isn't as suited to Man United as say playing Kante and Kovacic, but I think he's not underrated. But I think Jorginho's performance is like excluding the penalties, even they've been. I think Jorginho this season's been like solid. I think he's been good so far. He's not been exposed that much. He's not been caught off the pace too much. And even against Sevilla, where Sevilla had most of the position. Oh, actually, Sevilla's not a good example. But yeah, Sevilla's not a good example at all. But he's been good this season. And I think there's a reason why we haven't seen the Kante Kovacic pivot that much. I think it's because it just doesn't work so well when for I can't pin exactly why, but there must be a reason why we haven't seen Kante Kovacic play together yet. But who knows? It could be the start.
Yeah, with Jorginho, I think Jorginho has been good this season, all right, but I feel like he has been good because we've had the upper hand in most of the games we've played this season. So probably that's why. And our mistakes are mainly defensive errors, mainly defensive errors this season. We've just had bad bad luck with our defense. So even though we are in control of the game, So it makes him look very, very good when we are in control, because that way he he does less defensive work and more attacking work, which is very, very good at. We are yet to be really, really tested by any team. Even the Liverpool game, we were not even that tested until the um red card happened, because we're in control of that game also till the red card happened. So I don't know, but like you're saying, yeah, probably he might be the best option.
Yeah, I agree. Should we move on to the attack and
Yeah. All right. I'll say Ziyech, Pulisic, and Werner.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah,
I don't think there's any other option
no,
apart from those three.
there is not. I
If they
honestly,
are, as long as they are fit, they should play.
yeah, I don't want to see any attackers play. I don't want to see anyone just being played out of position. Not going to target. Not speaking about any specific players because everyone knows who I mean. But don't want to see Pulisic
Yeah,
on
no
the
one's
right.
talking about that.
Yeah, no, don't want to see Pulisic sitting. Nah, it's just because I mean, it's just grinding the gears a bit because it's the one player or a couple of players where he's playing out of position, and that's why it's making the news. But yeah, I just don't want to see anyone play out of position. I want to see good, and yeah, that's that's the main thing. And yeah, I agree. Werner Pulisic Ziyech is absolutely the one that has to be. But you never know, Ziyech may not be completely ready, and in that case, Hudson-Odoi has to come in. But then again,
At this stage, just get him on.
yeah, perhaps Hudson-Odoi is just not training well or something. But I don't personally buy the whole training. I mean, yes, they have to be good trainers, but Eden Hazard was an awful trainer. Yet he would just play every game and just destroy anyone who came in his path. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
yeah,
but Eden was saving games for us. He was giving us 3 points. So even if he doesn't train and he still performs on the field, I don't
yeah.
think there's an issue with Eden Hazard.
Yeah, I
I think
agree.
there's a better chance of the manager getting questioned on why Hazard didn't play than Hazard
Yeah,
being questioned on why he's in the training.
exactly. Because his track record just shows that even if he doesn't train for us, he'll still do well and still manage
Yeah,
to help us.
I
But
accept
see,
it was. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, I'm just saying that with Odoi hasn't really proven, like I don't know, I don't like doing this, but I feel like he hasn't really proven himself. I don't think so. I don't think he has proven himself under Sarri. He didn't prove himself under Sarri. He hasn't proven himself yet under Lampard. So I'm just hoping that Lampard gives him the opportunity to do it, and when he does, he takes it on.
Yeah, he has to start in order to prove himself. So he can't just keep having 9 minutes, 10 minutes on the bench coming off and proving himself that way. I think if Mason
Yep.
Mount was coming into the team like that, and or if anyone else was coming into the team like that, and we were just judging them off 10-minute, 9-minute cameos, it's just he needs to be given good chances, and it's
Yeah, but you see that the thing was that with Mason and the rest, they weren't injured last season. So and last season we had a thinner squad, so they were able to start. Um,
that,
Odo was injured last season, so he wasn't able to get into the team like how the other players were. I'm sure if he wasn't injured, he would have been playing regularly last season. But he is now coming to a season whereby the team is fully packed, fully filled. The positions that he can play have like um excellent players playing there. So he has to fight his way in. You see, with players like Mount and Abraham, Reese, and the rest, they've had chances last season to prove themselves. So Lampard knows what he's getting from them. So it's just up to Odoi now to at least his cameos that he has in the game. Pulisic also did the same thing and he proved himself and he's now starting games. So there's nothing. I don't think. I think he can also do the same thing and then get into the team.
Yeah, I think that sums up the podcast.
Yep.
I think so. We've gone through the lineup, and we're really looking forward to the game for sure. It's I think there's quite a bit of pressure on Lampard, particularly just because we haven't got many wins recently and we've had a lot of draws. So it's going to be interesting to see. Plus, I'm hoping to see the Werner we saw against Southampton, against United, because whilst yes, they were good against PSG, but over the past ever since the start of the league, they've been having defensive issues and defensive brain farts similar to the way we have. So it's definitely going to be an open game. I don't think it's going to be a 4-0 like the last time we went to Old Trafford, but yeah, it's definitely there. They're definitely there for the taking, but they're in a good spirit though after the good results that they've got so far.
100%. So I think that sums up the podcast. And before I end it, thank you guys for all of your support. As always, it was a pleasure talking to Alex and Amart. And I've got to say, guys, there's a lot of big things happening at CFCTALK, a lot of changes coming. And one of the reasons why we missed the last few episodes is because we've been working on quite a lot of things. I can't really say anything right now because I don't want to get your hopes up and give you deadlines, but make sure you're following our social media because we do pre-match predictions for the score, each of the hosts, and then we do pre-match lineups as well as pre-match posters and interactions with fans, as well as post-match interactions. So make sure you're following us on social media, as well as we're going to be updating a lot of things right now. The only hint I can give you is our website is changing, and throughout this podcast we talked about something, if you guys can figure it out, so mention in the comments if you can. But again, thank you for your support, and we'll hopefully see you after the United game with me singing a Werner hat-trick or a Havertz goal.